on your website, you can link to the programs at the Housing Authority and the ACD and the Housing Finance Agency, all of which have different programs. But the larger issue is also to fix some of those laws because they are really not beneficial to the worker. It's the worker that really takes the brunt when they go out on disability, not just for their housing, but also whether they can get the job back when they're better. And so we have a lot of work to do with some of those laws. So my commitment to you is, besides just getting you shown where those programs are, is to try to fix the legislation. There's some loopholes in there to make it at least a little more balanced, level playing field for the worker that's actually disabled.
Got you okay?
No problem. You probably heard me say that.
Okay, at a federal level, what I want to do is, first of all, I want to examine how we can develop housing in a way that we can make it affordable for different income brackets to all qualify to live in the city. That's not a question. But again, let me get into it. And then when it comes to actual, like people who don't have the jobs, we have to qualify. It's a three-part. I have a lot of things doing. We have to qualify people more betterly than we are, because when they're on disability and they're not being qualified or challenged, they need to be trained in some way. So we need to train and keep our eye on segments of the population to make sure that they are getting the adequate training they need, and we keep going in that factor as when we go to like elderly, poor people, people that have low-income housing and such. Because again, if you're not training, believe me, I'm one of them too. I make $21,000 now. I'm not living large anymore like I used to, and I will make money again. But like I said, people don't care if I can make my bills every month, and that's why I say we need to develop programs that you can follow, like from the housing developments you have to the point that you can put all kinds of income to be able to supplement those incomes through those type of programs. Because if not, you're not going to get anything out of it. And I think it's
we have time. We have an alarm now. Okay. We become high tech.
Well, I'm kind of a big picture guy. My issue is to work on getting equal rights to District Columbia. Now, that $2 billion that I talked about is only part of the problem. The other problem is that we don't have control over what we do in the city. No matter what laws Councilman Brown passes, they're always subjected to the legal process. So we need to get control over our own destiny. And that's the best thing that we can do from my perspective. You know, I like to say everything I learn in sporting life, I learned from music. Well, the Gershwin Brothers taught me, God bless the child who's got his own. Nobody's going to take care of you as well as you're going to take care of yourself. And as long as we look to the federal government to take care of us, we're never going to be taken care of that.
Excuse me. I mean, it might be helpful if each of the candidates would say his or her name, because we don't have the name.
Yeah, and also repeat the position that you're running for, because I think that would be helpful as well.
Okay, thanks. Mary Brooks Beatty, and running for at-large DC Council. And, you know, I also think we need to concentrate on the training factor with the disability to make sure that, you know, you are getting back into a position that, you know, again, still pays well. We do have those programs that Brown mentioned, but I think not necessarily, that not everybody knows about them, that they exist, and how to even take advantage. So I think outreach is one part of it, and then also working on some of the getting people back in.
Because a lot of times in these forums, you have, you know, politicians, and I guess I'm one of them now too, come here and paint a rosy picture about what's going on. You know, we've got so much growth, we've got claims going up, and we forget about the other side of that. Poverty has risen in this city by 1/3 in the 4 years that Mr. Brown has been councilman. 30% of children in the city live below the poverty line. A lot of that is because their parents can't. So when you slip and fall, we catch you, and we help you back on your feet. But it seems like the council members there right now, when we slip and fall, they want to push us out to PG County. I don't want to do that.
I think you raised a great point. There's no more evident than in the statistics that were released just last week. 23% increase in families that are homeless right now in the District of Columbia. And you know what I'm going to do to help alleviate that? I'm going to work full-time on the council. I think that's what it's going to take. It's going to take council members willing to put in the effort, work full-time on these issues to ensure that we have the proper mental health services available, the social services available, the physical health services available, and the housing available. When you talk about programs and you talk about what's in place, there's been 4 years to get that stuff in place. And this is the time to put somebody new in who's willing to work full-time on the council to really make sure that the efforts put in to make sure that these families aren't forgotten, to make sure that these families have the support. I worked for over a year as a full-time volunteer in a homeless shelter. I understand what the need is, I understand what the services that are required, and I know how that we can get this so that the numbers are lower.
My name is Leon Swain. I'm running for the City Council position. We have a ton of programs in place, but nobody knows about it. And the thing about it is that a lot of these different agencies that run these programs, they seem to be doing as much as they can not to advertise and not to provide these services. Once the city council, what I would do as a member of the city council is I would make sure that these agencies that have oversight on disability, on homelessness and all that, actually get out there and promote their product, promote the product, let people know what we have. But the other part about it is that when you find out that you have these agencies that are not living up to their responsibility, you need to get rid of the agency here. You need to get rid of the people providing the service. If you're in there, the other thing that I think we'll take a look at is that a lot of people get rejected on disability claims. And what we need to do is, instead of just having one person sitting back there rubber stamping all of this, there ought to be a review process. That this person rejects you, it ought to be kicked up to somebody else and let them see if they agree before we just let one person make all those decisions. So we need to have some checks and balances within these organizations. Gotcha, Bill.
Abraham, running for City Council, Ward 8. The first thing I'd like to do is just take a look at some of the laws, some of the legislation, because the more and more I've gotten involved, I kind of wonder who drafted a lot of this stuff, because it don't apply to everyday people that live and work in the District of Columbia. I think we have more than enough money in the District of Columbia than the extra money that we make off the lottery, off the gambling, the extra money that we make off of parking tickets, that kind of money. We can look at putting money that we make off of those kinds of things into a surplus to assist people who have those kinds of problems. And one of the reasons that I'm running, frankly, is because I don't see enough human concern coming from the Wilson building, just the natural care for human beings. So that is something I would definitely take a closer look at.
One of the things that I think would really help is that we need more participants in agencies. And I think Councilman Brown brought that up some time ago without another form. One of the things, they have adult programs in our public school system that a lot of people don't take advantage of. So if the department, the nice department you just spoke of, they're talking about workers' comp, the workers' comp department with the public school system, there are programs at Baloo, programs at Phelps, there are programs at all these schools will help train. Every day I hear people talking about technology programs in places that people don't even know about. So if these departments would work together with our public school systems, that way we can work with children, and we got parents of children, and then we'll create and we'll stop some of the administrative problems that we have across the city.
He's upset. But it impacts the quality of life in this ward because we face with 30 shootings a week and don't have an elected official present at any of these scenes. And no, we had 2 barricades in Congress Park in the past 2 weeks. Not one elected official showed up. If it was Georgetown, everybody would have did their job.
Come on, I don't know if you answered the first part of that question.
And the first part was...
Do you plan to spend the rest of your life?
Absolutely. And public safety is that issue. It has to be fixed. Ethics and then education.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I plan to stay here. I've been here for 54 years, and I don't plan to go anywhere because basically I look at it like this. Gentrification is running rampant in our city. Gentrification is controlling our school system. With the number, if you check the record of charter schools, it's not owned by people like us. It's owned by large corporations who don't live in this city, who don't want to see our children thrive. Public education has been our driving force in this city for years. And the seniors in this room have kept this city going for years, right here on public education. And what we have now is a mass exodus of getting rid of us. We need to stand right now, get our city back under control, and bring public education back to where it used to be.
DC, we don't have two-faced people, and that's why I like DC, and I think it's a great city. And again, it could be greater. and we got to redevelop the school system. I want a federally guideline curriculum, because I feel the kids in lower income areas are losing. Why? Because of the fact that those kids are moving from place to place, and they're learning, being taught one way to learn, and then they go to another place and they get being taught a different way. This is affecting the learning curve, I feel. And I feel this is where really the problem lies, and that's why it's going to be at a federal level. Federal curriculum that really corrects education the right way, and this will cut down costs. Because we won't have all these superintendents who we're paying big money for. We'll have one at the state or city level, the rest throughout the country. We'll talk to them through the federal system.
Just want to make sure he was finished. First, I'm a third generation Washingtonian, and actually somebody tweeted a couple weeks ago that I'm a fourth generation Washingtonian. I was not aware of that, so we are checking that out. Yes, Denise, I plan on staying here as long as my whole life. The challenge I think that we all have is what our children are going to do. I dropped my kids off in college in Florida about 2 months ago for their freshman year. And what my concern is, what a lot of parents have concerns are, if they want to come back to D.C., will they be able to live here without living under my roof? Now, if they have to for a couple of weeks, clearly my children can come. But that's not the point. The point is, unless we fix affordable housing, we are going to have those challenges. Now, for those who believe in conspiracy theorists, that think that folks want us to be San Francisco or Boston, nothing wrong with those cities. I don't want to be those cities. I want to be D.C. And how we do that is make sure we have economic and both economic diversity in our city to make sure we have all kinds of folks here. In particular, the folks that have been here a long time should be able to stay. So unless we fix affordable housing, the system is difficult to do that. I'm going to have to get back downtown. I have to get back down to the homeless hearing. But for a lot of you here, you call me all the time. You're more than welcome to continue to do that in my office or on my cell phone. But I'm going to have to go. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me as we go through the last couple weeks of this election. I'd like to thank AARP for having me. Thank you very much for having me.